Asajj Ventress has been a vital part of the story of Star Wars ever since we first met her, way back in 2008. Lately, in Tales of the Underworld, she was seen dead before coming back to life. But how exactly did she even die in the first place? In this video, we'll fully explore her death from the Dark Disciple novel, and touch on how she came back to life, and what relevance it holds for the story. The beginnings of evil. Ventress came into this world in the red jungles of Dathomir, where the air is thick and shrouded by traces of wild dark side magic. The Night Sisters taught her everything she knew and took deep care of her. But life had other plans when pirates snatched her up as a kid. That's where she crossed paths with Jedi Knight Ki Narek, who felt something special in her, a loneliness that connected them deeply. He rescued her and spent months showing her the Jedi way. They became so tightly intertwined in protecting the populace that locals called them their guardians. But then came that awful day on the cliffs when bandits jumped them. Narek didn't make it. Ventress knelt there, hands shaking, trying to care for a wound that couldn't be healed. Right there, she swore she'd never feel that weak again. Count Dooku picked up on that fierce promise and reeled her in. He gave her purpose, taught her precise lightsaber techniques, and made her his personal assassin. She hunted Jedi across every kind of planet you can imagine. Ice worlds, fire planets, even places made of glass. She faced off against all the big names. Anakin, Obi-Wan, and even Plo Koon. Every narrow wind fed her ego, but each retreat reminded her she was just fighting someone else's battle. When Dooku eventually cut her loose on Sidious's orders, he went full scorched earth and sent warships to wipe out her Night Sister family. Ventress crawled out of the burning rubble with vengeance boiling inside her, the path to redemption. She went mercenary mode after that, taking jobs from huts on Nal Hutta and crime bosses on Ord Mantell, but the money never filled that emptiness from being betrayed. That hollowness actually became important to the Jedi Council when the Clone Wars got really bad. Weighing morals against survival, they approved something unthinkable, assassinating Count Dooku. They picked Quinlan Voss for the job, a Jedi whose psychometry let him read objects' histories and who had a brush with darkness in the part as an expert spy. The Council figured his playful personality would blend right in with the criminals Ventress hung around with. Voss found her down on level 1313, under all those neon signs and exhaust fans. The cantina was thumping with music and bounty posters were posted everywhere. He pretended to be just another hunter, let her watch him track a target through the crowd, and impressed her enough that she suggested they team up. They actually laughed together for the first time when they realized they'd both survived a crazy incident that could have killed them. Weeks went by, working together. They shared food in grimy kitchens, compared scars under the glow of engine rooms, and slowly built some fragile trust in a world where your word was everything. Quinlan discovered Ventress had a soft spot for lost kids. Ventress learned that he worried the Jedi Order might be losing its way. Something like affection grew from this mix of shared doubts and reluctant respect between them. The final sacrifice. Ventress eventually took Voss to Dathomir. The Night Sister ruins were quiet, but green magic still pulsed under the stones. She guided him through an initiation that stirred up ancient ichor, with dark whispers brushing against his mind. He took the risk, believing the mission needed every advantage. They soon tested their new powers on Christophsis, a planet with tall crystal spires cracked by war. The ultimate showdown with Count Dooku happened on a broken plaza glittering with dust. Light shone through cracks in the shields overhead. Ventress opened with a jump attack, a yellow blade spinning wildly. Quinlan joined with green sweeps that pushed Dooku into careful footwork. For minutes, the Sith Master held off both apprentice and Jedi, his cloak snapping in the hot wind. When Dooku noticed Quinlan's strikes slowing because he was worried about Ventress, he changed tactics. Purple lightning shot from his fingers, a sea of energy roaring toward the Jedi. Ventress saw it coming, heard Quinlan shout, and threw herself in its path. Electricity wrapped around her in sizzling ropes, lifted her up, and burned through armor and skin. Then the plaza went quiet except for fading electricity. Quinlan caught her before she ground. Her breathing was shallow, eyes bright with pain but steady. She touched his cheek with a trembling, nerve-damaged hand and whispered that light still waited for him. That darkness only won if he gave in to it. Then her hand fell away. The Force suddenly felt colder than space itself. At this point, reinforcements arrived, forcing Dooku to retreat. Obi-Wan watched Quinlan break down beside the body of Asajj Ventress, a scene as heartbreaking as anything since Geonosis. Together, the two Jedi carried Ventress onto a transport, flew to Dathomir, and walked a dark path toward the ancient well deep within. At the edge of weathered stone, Quinlan lowered her gently, and green light spread through the water as the Jedi headed back to their waiting ship, believing they'd laid a warrior to rest forever. You might think that's where her story ends, but in Star Wars, death isn't always the final chapter. How Ventress came back. After everything went quiet at the ruins, something weird happened. The pool brightened again, casting a sickly light on the ancient stone. A see-through figure rose up, like gravity was nothing to her. Ventress floated above her own reflection, hair drifting in invisible currents, eyes wide with confusion. She tried yelling Quinlan's name, but only echoes answered back. This in-between realm made colors dull and sounds muffled. Mother Talzin's spirit told Ventress that love had opened a door the spirits rarely offered. One path went down into rest with her fallen sisters. The other path returned her to life with all its hunger and heartache. But choices have prices. Life would take away her heart's desires and dreams she'd still held onto with Quinlan. Ventress thought about it in that ghostly place. After a moment of hesitation, she chose life, stepping forward and re-entering the living world. The Imperial Age. She took jobs nobody else wanted, guarding doors in sketchy bars from drunk gamblers who could barely aim their blasters, working with the seediest of bounty hunters, and possibly even going on more assassination quests. Nights blurred together. Everything changed when a teenager crashed into her cantina, hiding a blue lightsaber. Stormtroopers burst in soon after, shooting at everything that moved in a quest to eliminate the child. Everyone scattered. Ventress saw the terror in the kid's eyes and recognized that kind of fear. She jumped over the counter, lit up a blade bright as sunshine, and deflected blaster bolts as she helped the boy escape. Finding the path. Once they reached a roughly safe place, the boy introduced himself, in awe at Ventress's moves. He thought she was a Jedi protector from stories whispered through refugee channels. Ventress corrected him, saying she didn't serve any counsel. He explained his quest, breathless. He was looking for the Path, a network of safe houses smuggling Force-sensitive people to sanctuaries in the Outer Rim. The network's founder, he said, was Quinlan Voss. The name hit her like a ton of bricks. Before they could make solid plans on what to do next, darkness swept over them. An Inquisitor approached, cloak flapping. Spinning red blades lit up the scene. These were dark side users personally trained by Darth Vader to hunt down survivors of Order 66. The boy with the blue saber must have been a Padawan. Ventress felt satisfaction radiating from the hunter, like the chase justified every cruelty they'd performed. Ventress planted her feet, raised her saber, and calmly challenged the threat. The Inquisitor adapted quickly, easily able to counter Ventress and her sloppy attacks. She'd gotten rusty. The Inquisitor mocked her resurrection, raising the crimson blade for the killing blow. Behind him, the boy grabbed her fallen saber and thrust it forward with his own. A shocked gasp, then silence as the hunter fell dead to the ground. She decided to tell him who she really was, and her entire past with the Separatists and killing Jedi. Although he seemed afraid at first, he trusted her and wanted to go to the Path with her, seeking safety and anonymity. Once they arrive at a transport heading there, however, they both decide to let their pasts die peacefully and stick together, opening a new chapter of their lives as friends. Where the story goes. Trying to place this new show in the timeline is a real head-scratcher for the folks who keep track of this stuff. Ventress shows up in The Bad Batch Season 3, trading favors with Fennec Shand. She tells Hunter and Crosshair from Clone Force 99 that she has a couple more lives left, clearly knowing about her own comeback from death by this point. But whether that appearance comes before or after the rooftop rescue, we're not really sure. The Underworld episode mentions an existing friend, suggesting connections from her bounty hunting days stuck around. If that's true, the Inquisitor battle might happen sometime after her Bad Batch adventures, showing how Ventress drifts from paid jobs back to fighting for something she believes in, making a difference in the galaxy. Or maybe it's the other way around, with the duel happening first, marking when she jumps back into galactic affairs before sliding into mercenary work as things change around her. If this is the case, the question is what happens to the boy. Either way, we know that in some way, at some point in time, Ventress was heading toward a new life with her newfound friend. Imperial Inquisitors have her logged as a dangerous wild card, which shows the Empire is freaked out by people they can't predict, not just the Jedi, but Darksiders too. Mother Talzin's warning still hangs over her. Choosing to experience life cost her the desires closest to her heart, probably including any reunion with Quinlan. So if fate ever does let them meet again, tragedy might follow fast, balancing out the magical debt that pulled her from death. Maybe he sacrifices himself for her in a similar way she did for him in Dark Disciple. Or maybe they never meet at all, and this is simply how life is for her now. No longer Asajj Ventress, but the elder to an ambitious and kind-hearted Jedi in training. Whatever the case, there's hope in every step she takes. Ventress fights to protect the vulnerable now, not just living for credits. The Padawan at her side mirrors her younger self in ways, lost and hunted. Protecting him lets her rewrite her own story, which once made her nothing but a weapon of darkness and evil. If Inquisitors come at her again, they might find her will stronger than the Sith lightning that brought her life to an end in the first place. Where her story ends, nobody knows yet. Maybe in some quiet sanctuary beyond the Empire's reach, or in one final blaze of glory that saves many lives at the cost of her own. Until that day comes, Asajj Ventress shows that even people born in shadow can find their way to light, and that redemption, while never free, is possible for anyone brave enough to claim it. Leave the video a like if you enjoyed, let us know if you want a part 2, and subscribe for more amazing Star Wars knowledge.